Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about Sega Dreamcast, Naomi 2, and Atomiswave emulation with Flycast, and Flycast just got a huge new update. So at the time of filming, Flycast version 2.5 is the latest update. In this update, we've got DCNet. For those who may not be aware, DCNet stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, and it's a free dedicated VPN service for Dreamcast games that only needs a basic internet connection. And they say 30 game servers are already available and more on the way. On top of that, they've added in support for physical Dreamcast controllers with DreamCon Plus and Dream Pico port. New Dreamcast full controller with 2 analog axes and all possible buttons, Panther DC controller. Better analog axis emulation when using a keyboard or digital buttons by using ramp up and down curve. Hardware CD, DVD, BD-ROM support. GD-ROM arcade games, load time reduced to 0. Improved GD-ROM access time, particularly with the HLE BIOS. Per game VMU is now compatible with multi-disc games. Support for some encrypted cheats. And online support for 100 Swords, PBA Bowling, Star Lancer, and the next Tetris. Now, if you're on mobile, this one is huge. Vulkan per pixel mode on Mali GPUs, which will help a lot of games render a lot better. It may reduce performance using per pixel mode, but at the same time here, if you're looking at rendering and accuracy, this may be right up your alley. On top of that, for mobile, they've improved on-screen gamepad for Android and iOS. They say you can now move and resize controls, custom designs, arcade-specific layout, and unused controls are hidden based on game or device. Now, we've talked about a lot of these updates in previous videos as they were previously available in development builds, but now they're in the stable release. I would say this is a massive update for Flycast, and I get asked a lot, what is the best Dreamcast emulator out there? And it's really hard to answer that because there are some options, but I would say Flycast is one of the best ones to use. And speaking about one of the best, next up we're talking about one of the best 3DS emulators currently out there, and that is Azahar. And Azahar just got a brand new update as well. So at the time of filming, Azahar 2121 is the latest update. And as for what's new here, they say re-downloading own DLCs is now supported. They've added a new turbo feature which allows increasing the emulation speed to a pre-specified percentage using a hotkey or on-screen button. They added a new screen gap feature which allows the gap between the top and the bottom screen to be configured. And this one's an interesting one here. The maximum value for the 3D slider has been increased from 100% to 255%. They say the maximum value on real hardware is 100%, so going beyond this may cause graphical oddities. For the desktop version of the emulator, they added in quick save and quick load functionality with associated hotkeys mirroring the existing Android functionality. And speaking about Android, they've added in a new button to the long press about menu, which allows the users to open various folders related to the game, such as the location of the application's save data, DLC, textures, mods, etc. And they've also added in a new button to allow users to uninstall a game, its updates, or its DLC. On top of that, and this one's interesting, they added in a new expand to display cutout option, and this option allows the emulation display to expand to the area taken up by the camera notch. And there's even more stuff in here, and there's a whole bunch of fixes as well. Moving on, and we're talking about XoDos, and XoDos is a fully fledged X server with Termux and Winlator touch controls together in one app. It's built with an Android NDK. Now this one is getting better, it just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, the latest release of XoDos is version 5.1.0.full. As for what's new here, they've changed and fixed the UI. They've added more features for easier usage. They've added full system data. They've added new GLIBC drivers and DXVK and Box64 with AVX. They added new Bionic Wine 10.0 with new drivers in Box64. They've changed and fixed the settings app. They added Mango HUD for both Bionics and GLIBC and even more. Now, some people have tested this one out and said it's not as good as Winlator. Some people have said it's better than Winlator. I have not checked this one out yet, so I cannot vouch for it, but if you have, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about the most talked about thing in the gaming world yesterday, and probably today, and probably for a little bit, and that is Grand Theft Auto 6. And now we've actually got some substance here. Grand Theft Auto 6 just got a brand new trailer. Now this trailer does not really reveal a whole lot of gameplay, but it does reveal quite a bit about the game, including locations and what the story might entail. A lot of people are excited about this one, and if you've seen the trailer, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. And if you wanted to check it out and possibly learn more about everything, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. Now, taking a look at some of the reactions here, Objective updated survived till 2026. Guinness World Records actually commented on the trailer, keeping a keen eye on that views counter. Daily Dose of Internet, I was here to witness history. All YouTube channels right now, all the things you missed from this trailer. Why is that so accurate? I would say yes, because my feed was absolutely flooded with stuff like that. This person has been 84 years. Just need to survive this next year and even more stuff like this. It seems overall this is met with a lot of positivity and a lot of joking about the release of this. Now, there's really no point in me doing a huge analysis on this one, given the fact that there's not really a whole lot to go on. You could argue otherwise. I mean, some people have like over 30-minute videos talking about the 2.5-minute trailer. Anyways, here, there is more information on the Rockstar website, including some location information, character name information, and some very high-res screenshots. Now, I'm assuming here, and I think this is a safe assumption based on the success of their trailer, which had like over 64 million views in a day, Rockstar is going to continue on drip-feeding us some information here to keep excitement up and keep people interested. Overall, though, let me know your thoughts about Grand Theft Auto 6 and what it's going to offer based on what we know about it so far. And speaking about releasing information, next up here, we're talking about some new gaming handhelds that were unveiled unofficially via official FCC certifications. So I would say that this is not necessarily a rumor, and this is probably just going to be a matter of when it's going to be confirmed. And this was broke over on videocards.com. Now, anyways, here is the headlines. ROG Ally 2 leaks, new design, larger screen, and Xbox version. I'm very curious to learn more about these once we have more official information, but of the two versions, one is black in color and one is white in color. The black color one may be the Xbox version, and it may be the more powerful version. So it's said to feature an AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme CPU. And the display on both is going to be a 7-inch display at 120 Hz. And on the Xbox version here, it's going to feature 64 gigs of RAM. I don't know about the white version, but the white version CPU is a little bit weaker. However, and this is an interesting part as well, for the weaker chip here, the AMD 4-core 20-watt chip, this may be an evolution of the chip that's in the Steam Deck currently. So I'm very curious to see what happens here. The ROG Ally 2 might be a spiritual successor to the Steam Deck, given the fact that we're not going to be getting a Steam Deck 2 relatively soon. They're waiting for a generational leap in hardware as opposed to just an incremental leap. It's also worth noting here that taking a look at the design, these will not have detachable controllers. Everything is all integrated in. And the controllers themselves, like the side grips, seem to be very robust. I'm assuming this is going to be extremely comfortable to use overall. Unfortunately, at this point in time, I don't have any information on release date or price or what OS these things are going to use, or really even more than that. We don't know a whole lot right now. I'm assuming we're going to know more shortly, but at the same time here, I am very interested in both. I'm specifically interested in the weaker model here, the white version, just because I want to see how it compares to the Steam Deck. Valve has been very vocal that they don't want to just keep putting out incremental updates and kind of muddy the water. They want to make sure that the next Steam Deck, if they release another Steam Deck, is going to be a huge bump over the existing one. So I'd be curious to see the side-by-side with the new ROG Ally 2 in white with the evolution of that Steam Deck CPU versus the existing Steam Deck. But anyways, I'm going to stop my speculation and curiosity there. Let me know your thoughts about all of this stuff in the comments below. Do both of these interest you, and what do you think they're going to do? And speaking about the Steam Deck and handhelds that may or may not run SteamOS, next up we're talking about SteamOS, and they've just updated to version 3.7.5 beta, which includes some very interesting changes. Now, we've talked about some of these changes before, but now they're in the beta release, and there's stuff I'm excited about here. I mean, they've updated to a newer Arch Linux base. They've updated the kernel to 6.11. Hooray. They've updated the Mesa graphics driver base. The desktop mode now ships with Plasma 6.2.5. Another hooray. The beginnings of support for non-Steam Deck handhelds. Another hooray. They've added support for frame limiting with VRR displays for internal and external. There's crash fixes and even more stuff. Oh, and they added support for the power button on Asus and Lenovo handhelds, or Asus, or subscribe to Mr. Sujano, depending on how you want to pronounce that company name. On top of that, because there's a whole lot more here, I mean, they've added battery level display for supported Bluetooth devices, there's performance improvements, and even more. I'm very curious to see what happens when this is pushed to the full overall release and the overall reception from people. Right now it is in beta if you wanted to check it out, and I probably will be. And speaking about performance, next up we're quickly talking about Geargrafx. Geargrafx is an accurate cross-platform TurboGrafx 16 PC engine emulator written in C++ that runs on Windows, Mac, Linux, BSD, and RetroArch. And this one got an update you may be interested in if you're interested in performance. So at the time of filming, the latest version of Geargrafx is 1.3.1. With this update, they've greatly improved performance, now twice as fast. So there you have it. On top of that though, because yes, there's more, they've improved accuracy, 100% compatible with commercial releases, and also bug fixes. And speaking about performance stuff, next up here we're talking about a game that I think a lot of people may be interested, especially if you're interested in shmups. So this is a new one. We've talked about it on the channel before. It's being developed for the Sega Genesis, but it is releasing on Steam, and a Steam store page is now available. It's called Earthion. And this one I am very excited about. I think this one looks super cool. And I'm curious to see if they go through with the Genesis release or if they're just going to move it up to Steam because it's easier. I think the Genesis release is still coming. I don't know the release date just yet. It does say coming soon. You can wishlist it. But I will link the Steam store page if you wanted to check it out and learn more about it. Unfortunately, at this time, I don't know if it's going to be Steam Deck compatible, but considering it's made to run on the Genesis, I'm going to assume yes. It's also releasing for PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. And speaking about stuff in development, next up here we're talking about, well, something that was in development for quite a while. This game was announced back in 2003 called Captain Blood. It just released on Steam. There is a demo available if you wanted to check that one out as well. It's got a positive review score. And this game has been a long time in the making. It's not even that expensive. They say here that this game underwent several iterations throughout the 2000s and was last showcased in 2010 before vanishing for years. Now we are excited to bring it back, combining its original glory with a series of modern improvements for today's gamers. So obviously Captain's Blood has had a very interesting journey to get to release, and whether good or bad, I haven't checked this one out yet. I'm just glad it finally got to see the light of day. Let me know your thoughts about this one if you've checked out the demo or purchased the game. And speaking about purchasing stuff, next up we're talking about EA, and in a case of I'll believe it when I see it as time goes on, EA has suggested, it's being reported that EA has suggested it has no plans to raise game prices, yet others doing so. Now there are a few things I want to point out here. One is this quote, "From a game's perspective we put out, we have reflected no changes in our current strategy at this point." At this point was already outdated by the time you're listening to me talking to you about it. At this point was a point in time, and you know what? Points in time change. Tomorrow will change from today in terms of points of time. So I would hold this one with the tiniest grain of salt. I wouldn't really put a whole lot of stake in this. I'm assuming that it will change at some point in time. Realistically here, this is it's a nothing burger to me. Secondly, and I don't think people are going to be happy with this one, our business is very different today than it was even just 10 years ago. In a world where everything we did 10 years was about selling shiny discs in plastic boxes and retail shelves, well, that's still a part of our business. It's a significantly smaller part of our business. And we now have pricing representing everything from free-to-play all the way to deluxe editions and beyond. At the end of the day, whether we're doing something that costs $1 or we're doing something that costs $10, or we're doing something that costs $100. Our objective is always delivering incredible quality and exponential value to our player base. Really. But anyways, I'm not going to open that can of worms too much. I kind of just did, but anyways, selling shiny discs in plastic boxes and retail shelves, that's a significantly smaller part of the business, which is very telling for an all-digital future. Secondly, here they did mention the $100 price point for games. And thirdly, they're saying they deliver incredible quality and exponential value to their player base. And I may disagree with that in certain aspects. That might be a hot topic. But let me know your thoughts about all of this. Do you think EA is going to raise game prices, or are they going to stay true to their word and keep prices the same for the foreseeable future? What do you think about this $100 aspect? What do you think about the all-digital future, or at least alluding to an all-digital future, considering that physical is a significantly smaller part of their business? And what do you think about quality and exponential value to player base in terms of their games? On a quick side note here for EA, Battlefield was talked about quite a bit, and it's set to release in March of 2026, with it being revealed at some point later on this year, probably at some point in the summer. If you're excited about Battlefield, although we already know a whole lot about the game due to the leaked testing, at the same time here it is set for an official reveal probably this summer. Next up, we're shifting from software to hardware and talking about some brand new hardware unveiled by Slimbook, and this is called the Kymera Black. If you're into PC building, if you're into Linux stuff, or maybe even not Linux stuff, if you're into Windows stuff as well, the Kymera Black might be up your alley. I think this PC case looks awesome. I love the display in the front. And this one has both options for AMD and Intel. On a side note, it's worth noting that the integrated LCD screen is optional. It's not standard, and I say it looks a lot better with the screen than without. On top of that, it can have up to 7 fans and up to 3 radiators, depending on the size. So the Kymera Black ATX AMD build starts at €749, which is about 850 or so USD. The Intel version is a little bit more expensive here at €779. But you can crank it up quite a bit. I mean, if you wanted to put in a far better processor on this one, it's going to crank things up, and then you can crank up even more based on your GPU and all of that stuff. You can get carried away in the configurator just for fun, but at the same time here, if you're into PC builds, Slimbook may be something worth checking out. Now, if you're more interested in laptops and significantly lower prices, and you like to tinker around with stuff, I would say this is not a daily driver laptop, but at the same time here, if you're into FPGA stuff and you're a developer, this might be up your alley. So this is a new FPGA-powered laptop. It's called the OneChipBook, and it's under $250. The overall specs on this, I would say, are nothing really to write home about, but at the same time, I think it's pretty interesting that stuff like this exists. And fortunately, it does charge via USB-C. And speaking about not the most powerful hardware, next up we're talking about the Motorola RAZR. You may remember the RAZR, you may not. I certainly do. This is a huge throwback here. But anyways, it's running Doom. Someone's got Doom up and running on this. It's surprising if you know the hardware, but again, not surprising because Doom runs on like literally everything. I think this is pretty cool, and this is more of just a friendly heads up. And speaking about friendly heads ups, last up we're talking about Linux and Windows. The other day we talked about how Arch Linux was now officially a WSL distro, where WSL, you know what it stands for, but it also stands for Windows Subsystem for Linux. And Fedora Linux is now an official WSL distro. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. The legendary One Fluff is upstairs watching the animals outside. I mean, there's a lot of birds. There's even bunnies in the backyard. She's very excited to come springtime, and she likes to smell the fresh air too. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.